everyone, greetings from Fiki. Welcome to day 10 of the virtual school on IP. Today we will be conducting 3 sessions on 3 different topics. The first session is on well-known trademarks in India, followed by the second session which shall be on enforcement of copyrights in India. And the third session shall cover the topic on drafting of patent applications. I now welcome you all to day 10 session 1 of the virtual school on IP. Our speaker for this session is Mr. Yashvardhan Rana, who is an associate at Intel Advocare, which is a leading IP law firm. He is an intellectual property attorney with a particular focus on IP prosecution practice, encompassing a broad range of areas including but not limited to registrability analysis and risk management, to providing legal opinion on trademark clearance and protection strategy for the availability of use, adoption and registrability of trademarks to be launched by individuals, small businesses, Fortune 500 companies, as well as top FMCGs in India, and large corporations, including assisting them with filing new trademark and copyright applications and maintaining their trademark portfolios worldwide. He advises on trademark protection strategies, copyright issues, and specific assignments relating to design law, certain aspects of strategic brand management and advisory, IP auditing, and due diligence to portfolio management, transactional advice, and agreement drafting, permitted user or registered user recordals, and other procedural compliances. He is based out of New Delhi and is a member of Bar Council of Delhi, Delhi High Court Bar Association, Asian Patent Attorneys Association, International Association for the Protection of Intellectual Property, International Trademark Association, Law Asia, and FICCI IP Forum. He has authored several articles on intellectual property law and practice, which are published in leading blogs, websites, journals, and magazines. It is indeed an honor to have you with us in today's session, and we welcome you, sir. All queries.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
Sir,
hello all.
A minute.
Hello.
Sir, can you please allow me a minute?
Sure. Sorry.
Thank you so much, sir. It's okay. All queries related to the session shall be answered during the Q&A round at the end of the session. Participants may type their queries in the chat box. Now, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Yashvardhan and would request him to make his presentation on the topic today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So, hello all. I'll be presenting on the topic of well-known trademarks in India. I'll start off first with the background and origin. So, the first time a well-known trademark was discussed was during the Paris Convention of Industrial Property in 1883, wherein the said convention had set out certain guidelines for the protection of well-known trademarks. But they did not lay any procedure per se, and hence left it to the signatory countries to decide their own rules and regulations for registration of such marks. So all the countries globally have accepted the significance of well-known trademarks, including India. So back in the year 1883, it was established under this Article 6 of the Paris Convention that provided for a regime to protect well-known marks. So by such an enactment, the countries of the Union who signed up for this act could refuse or cancel a particular registration and prohibit the use of a mark which may cause confusion and deception, such as reproduction, imitation, or translation of a well-known mark. So this provision also applies when an applicant of a mark uses or reproduces an essential element or the prominent portion of feature of a well-known mark in question. So the case concerning this is, so the well-known trademark originated from the term reputation, which was first observed in the case of JG versus Stanford, wherein it was stated that the law of passing off prevented dishonesty in the marketplace by traders. So in India, protection of well-known trademark is considered to be more important than that of an ordinary mark. So earlier, protection to a well-known trademark was provided through common law procedure, through the courts and various forums that are there, like passing off infringement actions. But now Indian lawmakers have included provisions to safeguard such marks. Now we'll discuss what does a well-known mark mean and it's important in today's day and age. So Section 21ZG in the Trademarks Act 1999 defines well-known trademark as a mark which has become so to the substantial segment of the public which uses such goods or services that the use of such mark in relation to the other goods or services would be likely to be taken as indicating a connection in the course of trade or rendering of services between those goods in question and the person using that mark in relation to the above mentioned goods. So meaning thereby, the term well-known mark refers to a mark which has become so well known to the substantial segment of the relevant public with extensive and commercial use, continuous commercial use. So use of this mark in relation to any other goods or services by another party may be taken as indicating a connection between both the parties. Individuals, companies that acquired immense brand value, reputation, and goodwill in India through their trademark should get their trademark included in the list of well-known trademarks so as to safeguard themselves from any future infringement, dilution, or passing of accidents. So there are these provisions that are associated with the well-known trademarks. They are as follows. Firstly, Rule 124 of the Trademark Rules 2017 talks about that this rule permits trademark owners to file a request for the grant of well-known trademark directly to the registrar via Form TMM. So before this rule, a mark was declared to be well-known only after judicial recourse, such as proceedings before various forums, district courts, high courts, opposition proceedings in the registry, etc. So however, with the advent of this rule and the procedure, a trademark owner can request his or her trademark to be included in the list of trademarks, as the registry also maintains a register for the same. They can be accessed on the IP India website. So Rule 124 ensures that the trademark be granted with the tag of well-known mark merely by submitting an application or request to the registry. This can be done via an online portal as well as following it up with the concerned registrar via email, and one can also submit documents physically at the registry simultaneously. So the next provision concerning well-known trademarks is Section 11.2, which talks about the protection of well-known marks across all classes. So this provision extends the ambit of protection provided to well-known trademarks. So according to this clause, well-known trademarks are to be recognized and protected across all classes of goods and services, ranging from class 1 to class 42, right? So relevant portion of the section has been reproduced here. A mark which is identical with or similar to an earlier trademark, or a trademark which is to be registered for goods or services that are not similar to those for which the earlier trademark is registered in the name of a different proprietor, shall not be registered, if or to the extent that the earlier mark is a well-known mark in India and the use of the latter mark or the junior mark is without due cause, which is to take unfair advantage of or be detrimental to the distinctive character or repute of the earlier trademark in question. So in a very important case, namely Kirloskar Diesel Recon Private Limited versus Kirloskar Proprietary Limited, the Bombay High Court, while extending protection to the mark Kirloskar, stated that in case of trading name which has to be called a household word and under which a trading name, a variety of activities are undertaken, a passing off action can successfully lie if the defendant has adopted identical or similar trading name and even if the defendant does not carry on similar activity. So even if the defendant's activities in such circumstances are remote, the same are likely to be presumed a possible extension of the plaintiff's business or activities. So in the instant case, the respondents have established the word Kirloskar has become a household name, and that businesses all over India concerning various activities have, and it is believed that there is a common connection with the activities of the respondents and activities of the appellants. Now we'll discuss about Section 11(6) of the Trademarks Act, which talks about factors taken into consideration while determining the trademark as well known by the registrar. So a joint resolution concerning provisions on the protection of well-known marks was adopted by WIPO back in the year 1999 in order to protect the well-known trademarks from misuse and infringement, wherein various factors to determine a well-known trademark was enlisted. India, being a member of the World Trade Organization, adopted these factors and enshrined it in the Clause 6 of Section 11 of the Trademarks Act. So some of these determining factors include knowledge about the mark in relevant sections of the public. So the case concerned on this point is of Hari Puttar, in which trademark dispute arose in regard to the name of Indian movie as Hari Puttar, which related to the well-known novel series Harry Potter. The court held that such similar names will not lead to the confusion, as Harry Potter films are targeted to meet the entertainment needs of exclusive and elite audience who can very easily identify or spot the difference between both the book and the film, which relied on Punjabi comedy. Even by seeing the film Harry Potter, they would never relate it to the original Harry Potter book or film. The case concerning is Warner Brothers Entertainment versus Harvinder Kohli, PTC Delhi, 2008. So the next determining factor is the duration, extent, geographical area in which the trademark is used. So duration of such use of trademark can be short or long, but of that use matters. Many courts have been flexible with regard to the establishment of proof or degree of use, whether high or low on the part of the plaintiff. In Indian Shaving Products versus Gift Pack, popularly known as the Duracell Ultra case, the court observed that even though the duration of sale of goods was less than 1 year, the plaintiff had achieved high sales and had advertised heavily and extensively. Thereby, the requirement to establish long duration of sale and continuous use did not come into the picture. Next factor includes the duration, extent, and the geographical area in which the trademark, including advertising or publicity and presentation at fairs or exhibition of the goods or services in which the trademark appears. In a well-known case concerning Whirlpool Company versus N.R. Dongre, it was held that even though the product of the company was totally absent from the Indian markets, its trademark was protected by the court. Ultimately, obviously on the ground that its volume of sales and advertisements was sufficient enough to have reached the relevant section of the public. Similarly, in Marico versus Madhu Gupta, the Delhi High Court took cognizance of the huge amount of money being spent by the plaintiffs in their advertisement and finally granted injunction in their favor. The next determining factor being the record of successful enforcement of the rights in that particular trademark in question to the extent that the trademark has been recognized as a well-known trademark by any court or registrar under that record. For instance, the well-known alcoholic manufacturing company Shaw Wallace successfully enforced its trademark rights, especially the numerical part of its brand name 5000. So the next factor is the number of actual or potential customers of the goods or services. So in the case of Aveda Corporation versus Dabur India, the Delhi High Court ruled that the plaintiffs were involved in the business of selling beauty products in the name of Aveda, and the defendants started selling their own beauty products in the name of Uveda. Delhi High Court considered that the plaintiffs had a minuscule presence in India, as they had supplies only in one spa in India, that is in Rishikesh, and the question of confusion in the minds of people thus would not arise. So the plaintiff could not have to be said to be likely to have a huge consumer base as compared to the defendants. Thus, the balance of convenience laid in favor of the defendants, and finally, the court gave only minor suggestions to defendants to increase the font size or the colorable features of the product, namely Dabur, to make it more prominent or relevant in order to avert any likelihood of confusion. The remaining factors being the record of successful enforcement rights, as discussed above, the number of persons involved in the channels of distribution of the goods or services, the relevant business circle, community, or industry related to the goods or services to which the trademark applies. So the next provision concerning well-known trademarks is Section 11(9) of the Trademarks Act, which talks about the conditions not required for well-known trademark registration. So this provision has been specifically designed for foreign brand owners entering India. The section specifically mentions certain conditions which need not be required considered for the purpose of granting well-known trademark. These conditions are as follows: whether that the trademark has been used in India or not, whether that the trademark has been registered or not, that the application for the registration of trademark has been filed in India, that the trademark is well known in or registered in any of the other jurisdiction other than India, that the trademark is well known to the public at large in India. So it can thus be stated that for a trademark to be granted protection in India, it is not necessary that the trademark owner has business in India or its trademark registered within the jurisdiction of India, nor it is required that the trademark is known to the general public as a whole. So thus, the particular provision provides for the concept of trans-border or spillover reputation of trademark in India. So the next provision concerns obligation on part of the registrar. So while considering an application for registration of trademark and opposition filed in respect thereof, the registrar shall protect a well-known trademark against any identical or similar trademark in question. So the registrar shall take into consideration malified intention or bad faith involved either of the on part of the applicant or the opponent, affecting the trademark rights relating to the goods in question, goods or services in question. So it is an obligation on the registrar that in case of dispute, the registrar must protect the interest of the well-known trademark against any identical or similar trademark. He must also take into consideration the malified and ill intention of the complainant or the opponent. So now we'll discuss on how to file a well-known trademark in India. So as discussed before, According to Rule 124 of the trademark rules, any person can apply for the registration of a well-known trademark. So there are these guideline steps that are required to be followed for filing a trademark, for filing a well-known trademark. Firstly, Form TMM. For getting a mark registered as well-known trademark, an applicant is required to file a Form TMM. While this form also allows the user to choose various options from amending applications to filing interlocutory petitions, the interesting and new addition is the one for the inclusion of a mark as well-known trademark. This is important. So while the rules specify all the information that is required from a filing purpose, it is clear that an existing application number has to be specified, either registered or pending. So if you like for a mark to be considered well known, you can't file a new application as a well known mark, but rather an existing one that is already in process that has to be included, not a new application. So with just the applicant and the existing trademark details, the statement of case. So this is more like a petition, setting out the details, background, court orders, uh, reasons, etc. So this has to be uploaded along with the reasons for why the mark should be treated as well known. The prescribed fee as per the first schedule of the rules in Form TMM is 1 lakh rupees. The application has to be filed through the e-filing services of the trademark registry, made available at the official website ipindia.nic.in. So there are certain documents which need to be filed along with the TMM form. They are as follows, which are to be enclosed with the statement of case and the affidavit. These are copy of board resolution or power of attorney in favor of the authorized signatory, information articles discussing the origin, background, history of the brand worldwide or in India, and the date of use of the mark in India. List of applications, registrations in India, along with copies of few registration certificates. Not all, but a few. Details of oldest active and subsisting registrations anywhere in the world. This can be searched through the WIPO global brand database as well. Next being annual worldwide and India specific sales figures of goods and services rendered under that trademark for the last 10 years. Copies of invoices issued in India to customers mentioning that the trademark for the past 8 to 10 years. 2-3 invoices per year will suffice in this case. Annual worldwide and India advertisement sale promotional expenses incurred towards a trademark in India for the past 6 to 8 years. This has to be in a tabular form. Copy of advertisements published in India and the worldwide in newspapers, magazines, or any other media for the past 6 to 8 years. These newspapers and magazines should have good readership and viewership. Copy of favorable court orders passed by courts, tribunals, or UDRP, domain name proceedings. 2-3 orders will suffice. So UDRP means the Uniform Domain Name Resolution Policy. Next being the extracts from the third-party websites, news articles, extracts from social media websites establishing use and reputation of the mark in India. Copy of decisions declaring the trademark to be well known and famous in India or any other jurisdictions of the world. Last being industry awards, accolades, brand rankings conferred on the brand over the years. So the size of the document submitted along with the statement of case as evidence and supporting documents should be in PDF format with a resolution of 200 and 200 pixels on A4 size papers only. And the total file size shall not exceed the limit of 10 MB. This has to be scanned and uploaded on the IP India website. Just a second. So after the submission of the form, the office will consider and acknowledge on the basis of the document submitted. It may or may not be considered by the registry. If accepted, the mark will be added in the list of well-known trademarks. Firstly, it will be published in the Trademarks Journal, inviting any objections for a period of 30 days. If any party or entity or person objects to the inclusion of a particular well-known trademark, then they can file an objection to the registry by stating their objections, the reasons thereof. So copy of such objection should be given to the applicant, and they can then file a counter statement for such objections within the stipulated time, as mentioned by the registrar. After hearing both the parties, a final decision shall be made. If the applicant mark is included in the list of well-known trademarks, the same shall be informed to the applicant. This shall be also published in the Corringenda column of the Trademarks Journal, which is published every week, and the mark shall be included in the list of trademarks. This shall be available on the website and be included in the register. So you all have to keep a tab once a week. So now we'll discuss about the relevant case laws that have helped involving the well-known trademark jurisprudence in India. The first being, in the landmark case of Daimler-Benz versus Haibo Hindustan, the defendant had been selling undergarments under the trade name Benz, for which the plaintiff, who holds a global reputation for selling premium quality cars, sought a permanent injunction before the Delhi High Court. Delhi High Court holding in favor of the plaintiff averred as follows. I think it will be great perversion of the law relating to trademarks and designs if a mark of the order of Mercedes-Benz, its symbol, a three-pointed star, is humbled by indiscriminate colorable imitation by all or anyone, whether they are persons who make undergarments like the defendant or any else. Such a mark is not up for grabs whatsoever, not available to any person to apply upon anything or goods or services. In Whirlpool versus NR Dongre, the plaintiff, Whirlpool, had not subsequently registered that trademark in India after their registration of the same back in the year 1977. So at the relevant time, the plaintiff had a worldwide reputation and used to sell their washing machines in the US Embassy in India and also advertised in a number of international magazines having circulation in India. However, the defendant started using the mark on its washing machines. An action was brought against them, and the court held that the plaintiff had established trans-border reputation in India, and hence the defendants were enjoined from using the same for their products. The next case being Indian shaving products versus gift pack. This is regarding the use of the words Duracell Ultra by the plaintiffs and Ultra by the defendants. And Allergen versus Milfeth Ophtho Industries. This is regarding the use of the word Ocuflux for their medicinal preparations. In these cases, although the plaintiffs did not have any business in India, the trade circles within India were well aware of the transborder spillover reputation of the said marks. The courts took this reputation into consideration and passed injunction orders against the defendants concerned. So in Mahindra and Mahindra Paper Mills Limited versus Mahindra and Mahindra, the Supreme Court, in dispute regarding the names of two parties, held that whether there is likelihood of deception or confusion arising is a matter for decision by the court, and no witness is entitled to say whether the mark is likely to deceive or cause confusion. That all factors which are likely to create or allay deception or confusion must be considered in combination only. So, broadly speaking, factors creating confusion would be, for example, the nature of the market itself, the class of consumers, the extent of the reputation, the trade channels, the existence of any connection in the course of trade, and others. So in Rolex SA versus Alex Jewelry Private Limited, the plaintiff filed a case against the defendants who were using the trade name Rolex to sell their artificial jewelry. The court, while holding that the plaintiff's mark was a well-known trademark which the public associated with the watches of the plaintiff's brand, restrained the defendant from using the trade name Rolex, as it was liable to cause deception and confusion in the minds of the people. And they would think that the artificial jewelry was from the brand Rolex itself. So it is pertinent to note here that the goods in question are cognate and allied in nature, meaning thereby they are not unrelated completely, so to say. The next case is Toyota Jidusha Kabushiki Kaisha versus Prius Auto Industries. In a path-breaking development of the Indian trademark law, the Supreme Court reiterated that IP rights are territorial and not global. The court decided a matter involving Prius, the brand name under which the Toyota sells its leading hybrid car. The court held that merely because Prius is well known outside India does not mean that it enjoys a reputation in India as well. This has to be independently established. The court ruled in favor of the defendants, noting that the plaintiff had not supplied enough proof of its reputation in the Indian market. In other words, although trans-border reputation was now very much part of the Indian law ever since the Whirlpool decision, such reputation could not be merely be asserted but must be proved and within the territory of India. The court notes that if the territorial principle is to govern the matter, and we have already held it should, there must be adequate evidence to show that the plaintiff had acquired a substantial goodwill for its car under the brand name Prius in the Indian market also. Not globally, but Indian market. Next case law is International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON versus ISKCON Apparel. Bombay High Court held that the trademark ISKCON has come to enjoy a personality that is beyond the mere product services rendered thereunder, and the recognition, reputation, and goodwill of the said mark ISKCON is no longer restricted to any particular class of goods or services. It is clear that the mark ISKCON is a coined trademark of the plaintiff. That is to say that the term ISKCON did not exist prior to the plaintiff's adoption and use of the same, and thus it deserves the highest degree of protection as a well-known trademark. Next case is Nandali Deluxe versus Karnataka Co-op Milk Producers Federation. Application for registration is permissible when such latter mark is used for different goods, nature of business, and visual appearance of two marks is so different that the average person of ordinary intelligence would not be deceived or confused between the goods concerned. Further, the registration of the trademark qua certain goods falling under one class does not vest monopoly over the entire class of the goods with the proprietor of the registered trademark. This is important. Mere test of prior user is not sufficient, but since how long the product of the plaintiff is in the Indian market is also very important. Whether there is injurious, fraudulent intention or unfair trade on the part of the defendant, and whether there is intention to deceive the consumer. If no such intention is there on the part of the defendant, then merely plaintiff being the prior user of the trademark cannot be the sole basis to grant the injunction. Next case is Kamal Trading Company versus Gillette UK Limited. So when does a trademark dilution occur? Dilution of a trademark, well-known trademark occurs when a well-known trademark loses its ability to be uniquely and distinctively identified and identifies a consequent change in perception which reduces the market value or selling power of the product bearing the well-known trademark. So in the above case, injunction was sought against the defendants who were using the mark 7 o'clock on their toothbrushes. The Bombay High Court held that the plaintiff had acquired an extensive reputation all over the world, including India, by using the mark 7 o'clock on razors, shaving creams, and the use of an identical trademark by the defendant would lead to the customer being deceived or confused. Another case, Sony Kabushiki Kaisha versus Mahalakshmi Textile Mills. A trademark which has acquired a wide reputation transcending international borders, barriers, even though in respect of a specified class or category of goods, cannot be allowed to be violated by any other person in respect of a different category of goods, because that the other person will be deliberately using the trademark or the former with an intent to get some undue, unfair advantage because of its reputation and goodwill in the market. In Milfed Opto Industries and others versus Allergen, the Supreme Court held that if a foreign trademark owner with, with, with such reputation can prove its intention to conduct business in India, the mere fact that it has not been using the mark in India would be irrelevant so long as they introduce the mark prior to the defendant in the world market, in the global market. The intention to use should be there. So in BMW versus Om Balaji Automobile, the Delhi High Court granted an interim injunction in favor of the plaintiff, restraining the defendants from manufacturing, exporting, or otherwise dealing with the goods, including but not limited to e-rickshaws bearing the mark DMW, as the same is either identical or deceptively similar to the plaintiff's BMW marks, and thus amounted to infringement of the plaintiff's rights subsisting in its reputed and well-known trademark and brand BMW. The court noted that whether the goods were different, the prior owner's chances of success is a function of many variables, which included the strength of his mark, the degree of similarity between the two marks, the proximity of the products, the likelihood that the prior owner would bridge the gap of actual confusion in the market, the aspect of malified intent and aspect of good faith behind the defendant's adoption of the mark, and the court may still have to consider other variables as well. The court noted that the facts in the case were materially different, whereas in the present case, the strength of the plaintiff's mark cannot be disputed, and the defendant's use of the mark DNW was prima facie dishonest. There was an intention to take advantage of the reputation and goodwill of the plaintiff's brand, which was likely to mislead an average man of ordinary intelligence with imperfect recollection. Next case being Christian Louboutin versus Pawan Kumar. The Delhi High Court held the plaintiff is a well-known luxury brand with a presence in over 60 countries, including India. The plaintiff has been using its red sole marks extensively and continuously since 1992 in India. The plaintiff's red sole trademarks are known to customers throughout India. The plaintiff is recognized as sole licensor of the Christian Louboutin marks and has successfully enforced its rights in various forums and courts in the said trademarks. The plaintiff has extensively promoted its luxury products under its name Christian Louboutin, including Red Soul trademark in India. The plaintiff has extensive presence over the internet. The plaintiff's website is accessible to consumers in India and have served in making customers in India aware of the plaintiff, the various luxury products of the plaintiff, and the well-known trademarks, including the Red Soul trademark. The plaintiff has received various awards and accolades for the luxury products made available under the plaintiff's well-known marks, including the Red Soul trademark. So this was in favor of Christian Louboutin. Next up is the advantages of filing a well-known trademark. So no other similar or identical mark can be registered across all classes. Once declared well-known, protection is granted across all classes of goods and services. Similarly, at the time of infringement and passing of proceedings, a well-known trademark can be asserted against the defendants dealing entirely different category of goods or services in the plaint. The commercial implications of being declared a well-known trademark are substantial and tremendous. We shall now look at some of the latest trends in the Indian judiciary with respect to the well-known trademarks. First question being, how many trademarks have been declared as well-known trademarks in India? So as on date, the trademark registry has included 97 marks decided both judicially, as per judicial and quasi-judicial authorities in the list of well-known trademarks maintained in the form of register. So is it possible to file an opposition based on the claim that the advertised mark is identical or deceptively similar to a well-known trademark? Yes, certainly. Section 21(1) of the Act provides for preventing a third party from registering an identical or similar mark to that of a famous or well-known brand through an opposition procedure within 3 months from the date of advertisement in the trademark bureau. Next question being, is it possible to seek cancellation by a foreign company as regards a registered trademark in our country based on the claim that the given registered trademark is advertised trademark is identical or confusingly similar to well-known trademark? Yes. Section 57 deals with the power to cancel or vary registration and rectify the register under Section 57, Clause 1 of the Act on an application made by any aggrieved person to the appellate board or the registrar. The tribunal may cancel or vary the registration of trademark on the ground of any contravention or failure to observe a condition entered on the register. Section 57, Clause 2 of the Act provides that any person aggrieved by the absence or omission from the register of any entry or by any entry made in the register without sufficient cause or by any error or defect in any entry in the register may apply to the appellate board or to the registrar, and the tribunal may make such orders for making, expunging or varying the entry as it may deem fit so. Thus, it is possible to seek cancellation of a registered trademark based on the claim that the given registered trademark is identical or confusingly similar to a well-known trademark. When there is delay or latches in filing the opposition. So, well-known trademarks are suitably protected, but there are certain circumstances when they may not be protected. For example, though mere delay in filing an opposition against the infringing mark may be condoned by the courts if the trademark owner has delayed the application for opposition or rectification of trademark against another party despite having acquiescence or knowledge that the latter mark is being used as the same trademark. Such party loses such a claim. A case in point here is Code Distilleries Limited versus the Scotch Whisky Association, where the Supreme Court observed that the respondents did not have any reasons to adduce as to why they did not pursue the case against appellant for a span of 14 years. Even though they were well aware of the registration of the trademark, Peter Scott in favor of the appellant. It was held that the class of consumers buyers which was supposed to know the value, which are supposed to know the value of money, quality, and content of Scotch whisky, are supposed to be aware of the difference of the process of manufacturing, the place of manufacture, and the origin, and thus there is no likelihood of confusion in the minds of the consumer. So, are there any significant roadblocks in the procedure for determining a mark as a well-known trademark in India? Presently, we do not foresee any significant concerns. However, there is a backlog at the trademark registry. Currently, all the hearings to adjudicate well-known applications are listed at the Mumbai Trademark Registry, and there is a long queue of well-known petitions pending before the Mumbai Trademark Registry. It takes about 18 to 24 months for a well-known trademark to be recorded as well-known, calculated from the filing date, per se. So can you file an appeal against the well-known trademark if rejected by the registrar? An appeal against the order or decision of the registrar must be filed within 3 months from the date on which the appellant has received the order of the decision of the registrar in IPAB. A prescribed form has to be filled up according to Section 91, Clause 3 of the Trademarks Act. An appeal must be made before the board in the prescribed form. It must be verified and it should be accompanied by an order by a copy of the order appealed against the requisite fees. Yes, that'll be all. Thank you. Hello. Hope you all made some points and gained some clarity in the subject matter. Hello.
Thank you
Hello.
so much, sir, for such an insightful session.
Sure, thank you.
Now I proceed to Q&A session. If anyone from the audience has any question, please type the same in the chat box and we'll put the same to the speaker.